Diobrando approaches his father's grave, the man he poisoned with an Eastern concoction. In his hands, a letter from his despised parent, urging him to seek out the noble George Joestar, whose life Dario once saved. At the Joestar estate, a carriage arrives. Dio steps out, freshly arrived from London. He meets Jonathan, known as Jojo, George's son, but refuses to shake his hand. Jonathan's dog, Danny, approaches only to be struck down by Dio's ruthless knee. Lord George intervenes, inviting them inside. Dio briefly glances at a mysterious stone mask on the wall. As Jonathan reaches for Dio's luggage, Dio grabs his wrist, twists his arm, and drives an elbow into him. A group of boys gathers at a makeshift boxing ring in a field. Jonathan prepares for a surprise opponent, Dio. The fight begins. Jojo throws powerful punches, but Dio dodges them effortlessly. Then, with a devastating strike, Dio lands a brutal punch to Jojo's stomach, followed by a crushing blow to his face. Dio presses his thumb deep into Jojo's eye, sending him to the ground in agony. After being left alone by his friends because of Dio, Jojo is surprised when a girl leaves him a basket of grapes and a handkerchief. It's Irina Pendleton, the girl Jojo once defended from two bullies, losing his handkerchief in the process. As Irina runs off without saying a word, Jojo thanks her from a distance and asks if they can meet again. The love story between Jojo and Irina begins, filled with carefree games and moments spent bathing together by the river. After a swim, Jojo carves a heart into a tree with their names. As the sun sets, Jojo heads home, leaving Irina behind. But under the shadows of the tree, Dio watches. His gaze cold, his fingers brushing the carved heart, a symbol of something pure, something Jojo and Irina share, something he's determined to destroy. Dio steps in front of Irina, kissing her forcefully. After pushing her to the ground, he proudly declares that her first kiss wasn't with Jojo, but with him, Dio. Irina picks up some water from a nearby puddle and washes her lips, as if to say that the filthy water is cleaner than the kiss she was forced to endure. Her act only fuels Dio's rage, and he slaps her violently, unable to control his fury. Later, when Jojo encounters Irina again, she turns away and runs, leaving him confused and shocked. After learning what Dio did to Irina, Jojo storms back to the Joestar mansion in a fury. He bursts through the doors, shouting Dio's name. Dio, seated calmly with a book in hand, rises, fully aware that this confrontation was inevitable. Jojo charges at him, throwing a punch, but Dio evades with ease and counters with a sharp elbow to Jojo's face. Then twists his arm, pressing his elbow firmly. Staggering, Jojo recalls everything Dio has taken from him, his father's favor, his friends, his love for Irina, even his pride in the boxing ring. But this time, he refuses to lose. Determined, Jojo attacks again. Dio blocks his blows effortlessly and drives a knee into Jojo's head. But Jojo doesn't waver, he grabs Dio by the hair and delivers a brutal headbutt. With renewed strength, he unleashes a relentless barrage of punches, sending Dio crashing to the ground. As Dio is sent flying by Jojo's final punch, blood bursts from his mouth midair, spluttering onto the stone mask mounted on the wall. The moment the crimson droplets touch its surface, the mask begins to tremble. Eerie spikes emerge from its back, and with a sudden motion, the mask is torn from the wall, falling to the ground. Dio rises from the floor, feigning sobs as he accuses Jojo of being violent, a bluff to mask his next move. From behind his back, he pulls a knife and suddenly lunges forward. But before he can strike, Lord George's voice thunders from the top of the stairs. In that moment, the mask's hooks silently retract. Their punishment is swift, and as they exchange a final glare, they part ways, confined to their rooms. In the garden, the gardener empties a basket of leaves into the incinerator. Noticing a wooden box inside, he assumes the maid left it there. He strikes a match to light his cigar, sets the fire, then shuts the incinerator door. Just as he does, strange noises stop him in his tracks. As Irina walks home, Jojo watches her from behind a tree, unseen. Her gaze is lowered, lost in thought. Returning home, he is met with horror. Inside the burning box was his beloved dog, Danny. Lord George tells Jojo the police suspect thieves, but Jojo knows the truth. That night, Dio reflects on his loss. He now understands Jojo is the type to grow stronger through adversity. From this moment on, Dio vows to be more calculating. 7 years pass and the stone mask's long wait is nearly over.